Close your eyes. Let the day dissolve. Let the sounds of your world fade into a gentle hum, a distant murmur, like the memory of a song. Feel the weight of your body as a pleasant, grounding anchor, holding you safely to the quiet earth. And now, listen. Listen not with your ears, but with the deepest, most restful part of your being. Listen for the sound of water. I am the river. My memory is long, and my waters are deep. I have no beginning and no end, only a constant, gentle flow. I have trickled as a spring from the high, silent mountains where the snows never melt, and I have broadened into a vast, placid sea under the patient gaze of 1,000 moons. I have been the Nile, the Tiber, the Ganges, the Yangtze. I have flowed through deserts of shimmering sand and forests of deep emerald green. I have reflected the first stars and the last, and I have carried the whispers of civilizations on my currents. Tonight, as you drift and dream, let my current carry you. We will not rush. There is no destination, only the journey itself. We will drift together through the long, soft corridors of time, and I will show you something I have seen again and again, a thread of pure, liquid gold that runs through all of humanity, a quiet truth that glimmers in the deepest parts of the human heart. It is a simple, gentle rule, a melody played in 1,000 different languages, on 1,000 different instruments, but it is always the same beautiful song. Let your breath be like my current, flowing in and flowing out. Easy and slow. Let the tension in your shoulders melt away, carried downstream. Let the thoughts in your mind become like smooth, gray stones on my riverbed, settled and still. We are beginning our journey now, drifting back, through the soft mists of time. The air grows warm, scented with lotus blossoms, and the dry, clean smell of sun-baked earth. The light is the color of honey. Listen, the sound you hear is the gentle rustle of papyrus reeds along my banks. We are in ancient Egypt, the land of the pharaohs, where civilization itself feels as old and eternal as the stars above. I am the Nile here, the giver of life, my waters dark and rich, my surface a mirror for the triangular silhouettes of the great pyramids, which stand like sleeping giants against the deep indigo sky. In a small, quiet room lit by the soft, flickering flame of an oil lamp, a young scribe named Kale is working. His back is straight, his focus absolute. He is not carving stone or building monuments. His work is of a different, more delicate kind. Before him lies a roll of fresh papyrus, its pale surface waiting. His palette holds inks of black and red, ground from soot and ochre, mixed with water from my very own banks and a little gum from the acacia tree. The air in his small chamber is still and warm, holding the faint, pleasant scent of the papyrus and the clean aroma of the linen tunic he wears. Kale is not writing a king's decree or a merchant's ledger. He is transcribing a passage for a man who is preparing for his final journey into the afterlife, a text from what will one day be called the Book of the Dead. It is not a book of darkness, but a guide to light, a map for the soul to navigate the world beyond this one. The most important part of this map is the preparation for the Hall of Two Truths, where the heart of the deceased will be weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth, balance, and order. Kale dips his reed brush, a simple tool fashioned from the Juncus reed, into the black ink. The tip is fine, and his hand is steady, a skill honed over many years of practice since he was a small boy. He is not merely copying shapes, he is breathing life into sacred words. He is writing the declarations of innocence, the things the soul must be able to say to the 42 divine judges to prove it has lived a life of balance and goodness. His brush hovers for a moment over the papyrus. The lamplight catches the deep black of the ink, making it glisten like a drop of the night sky. He thinks of the man for whom he writes this scroll, an old farmer named Nebu, whose hands were gnarled from a lifetime of tending the black earth I nourished each year with my flood. Nebu's face was a roadmap of wrinkles, each one earned under the great, benevolent sun. He was a simple man, but his heart, Kale felt, was as light as the feather it would be weighed against. Kale begins to write, his brush making a soft, whispery sound against the papyrus. The hieroglyphs flow from his hand, beautiful and precise. An owl, a reed leaf, a bolt of cloth, a human leg. Each is a picture, an idea, a sound. He writes, "I have not caused pain." The symbols are elegant, a testament to a lifetime of dedication. He pauses, cleaning his brush in a small bowl of my water. The water clouds for a moment with black, then settles. He thinks about the meaning, not just the grand pains of war or famine, but the small, everyday pains, the sharp words spoken in anger, the promise left unfulfilled, the helping hand withheld. He dips his brush again. The silence in the room is deep, broken only by the soft hiss of the lamp and the distant chirping of a night insect. He continues to write, his mind calm and centered, his entire being focused on the task. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men and women. These are the great prohibitions, the foundations of a stable society. But then, the declarations become more subtle, more intimate. They speak not just of actions, but of the heart's intent. I have not made anyone weep. Kale remembers seeing Nebu at the market just a few weeks ago. A child had dropped a pomegranate, and it had split upon the stones, its red seeds scattering like jewels. The child's face crumpled, ready to cry. Nebu, with his slow, deliberate movements, had simply picked up another pomegranate from his own basket and given it to the child, his wrinkled face breaking into a gentle smile. He had not made the child weep. He had, in fact, stopped the tears before they could fall. It was a small thing, a moment most would forget, but Kale saw it as the very essence of Ma'at. It was balance, restored in a single, quiet gesture. He continues his work, the list growing longer, a litany of non-transgression, a life defined by the harm it has not caused. The words are a reflection, a mirror held up to the soul. I have not been deaf to words of truth. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not gossiped. And then he comes to a line that seems to hold the key to all the others. It is a quiet summation of a balanced life. He takes a breath, centers himself, and with a particularly careful hand, he paints the elegant symbols that say, I have not done that which I would not have others do unto me. There it is, a glimmer of the golden thread. It is not framed as a command to do good, but as a gentle, powerful restraint from doing harm. It is a recognition of the other as a reflection of the self. The pain I would not want to feel, I will not inflict. The sorrow I would not wish to bear, I will not create for another. It is a rule of empathy, born from the quiet observation of one's own heart. Kale leans back, examining his work. The black ink is drying on the pale papyrus, the symbols sharp and clear in the warm lamplight. He feels a sense of peace in the words, a rightness that settles deep in his bones. This is not just a list for the dead. It is a guide for the living. It is the path to a light heart, a heart as light as a feather. Outside, the moon casts a silver path upon my dark waters. A gentle breeze rustles the reeds, and they whisper their soft, dry secrets to the night. The great stone temples are silent, their halls cool and dark. And in his small room, the scribe Kale has traced a current of truth that will flow far beyond his own time, far beyond the land of the pharaohs. It is a truth as essential and life-giving as my own waters. And now we drift. Let the image of the scribe and his papyrus dissolve like ink in water. Let the warmth of the Egyptian night fade into a cool, gentle mist. We are flowing onward, my current carrying you effortlessly through the centuries. The air grows cooler, smelling of salt and olive trees. The light changes from the golden honey of Egypt to the clear, silver light of a different sky. Listen. The sound is no longer the rustle of reeds, but the gentle clinking of stone on stone, the distant murmur of voices in thoughtful debate. We have flowed into ancient Greece, into the heart of Athens. I am the small river Ilissos here, flowing past the city walls, my waters having listened to the conversations of the world's greatest thinkers. The sun is setting over the Acropolis, bathing the Parthenon in hues of rose and pale violet. In the Agora, the bustling marketplace and heart of the city, the crowds are beginning to thin. Merchants are packing their wares, and the sharp cries of the day are softening into the tired hum of evening. Here, among the stoas and colonnades, philosophy is not confined to dusty scrolls. It is a living, breathing thing, debated on street corners and discussed over watered wine. We find a young woman named Lyra, sitting on the cool marble steps of the Stoa of Attalos. She is not a philosopher, not a great orator. She is a weaver, her fingers skilled at creating intricate patterns on the loom, but her mind is just as nimble. She comes to the agora not just to sell the sashes she makes, but to listen. She listens to the followers of Socrates and Plato, to the Stoics and the Epicureans, their words like threads of different colors, which she weaves together in her own mind, creating her own tapestry of understanding. Tonight she is thinking about a lesson from her favorite teacher, an old man named Demetrios, who speaks not of grand cosmic theories, but of simple human ethics. Demetrios is not famous, but he is wise. His face is kind, and his eyes hold a gentle, questioning light. Just this afternoon, he had gathered a small group of listeners under the shade of an olive tree. "We spend so much time," Demetrios had said, his voice calm and measured, "asking what the gods desire of us, or what constitutes a heroic life. But perhaps the foundation of a good life is far simpler. Perhaps it begins not by looking to the heavens, but by looking inward, and then to the person standing next to you." He had paused, letting his words settle. A gentle breeze rustled the silvery green leaves of the olive tree above them. "Before you act," he continued, "before you speak, perform a simple test. Ask yourself, how would I feel if this were done to me, if this word were spoken to me? The anger you would feel at an injustice, the sting you would feel from an unkind word, the shame you would feel from being deceived, these are your guides. They are the truest compass you possess." He looked around at his small audience, his gaze resting for a moment on Lyra. "Do not do to others," he said, his voice soft but clear, "what would cause you anger if it were done to you by others. This is the beginning of wisdom, and perhaps it is also its end." Now, as dusk settles, Lyra replays these words in her mind. They feel true, like the satisfying tension of a well-strung loom. She thinks about her day. Earlier, a wealthy merchant had tried to buy one of her finest sashes, a beautiful one, woven with a pattern of blue waves, for half its worth. He had belittled her work, calling it simple, trying to make her feel small so she would accept his meager offer. Her first reaction was anger, a hot flush of indignation. She wanted to lash out, to tell him his own wares were shoddy and his spirit cheap. But then, the words of Demetrios echoed in her mind. What would cause her anger if done to her? To be belittled, to have her skill and effort dismissed, to be treated as less than an equal. And so, instead of anger, she chose a different path. She looked the merchant in the eye, her posture calm and dignified. "Sir," she had said, her voice steady, "I have spent 3 weeks weaving this sash. The thread is dyed with costly indigo, and the pattern is one of my own design. It is worth the price I ask. If it is not to your liking, I understand, but I will not devalue my own work." The merchant was taken aback. He had expected her to argue or to submit. Faced with her quiet self-respect, he grumbled for a moment. Then, to her surprise, he paid the full price. He left with the sash, and Lyra was left not with the bitter aftertaste of a fight, but with a sense of clean, quiet strength. She had not done to him what she would not want done to her. She had not insulted him or belittled him. She had simply stood in her own truth, and in doing so, had honored them both. Sitting on the cool marble steps, Lyra watches as the first star appears in the deepening twilight sky. It hangs like a single, perfect diamond above the temple. She understands now. The golden rule of Demetrios is not a rule of weakness or passivity. It is a rule of profound strength. It requires one to know oneself, to understand one's own feelings of hurt and anger, and to choose, consciously, not to inflict those feelings on another. It is the source of dignity, both for the self and for others. The air is fragrant with the scent of night-blooming jasmine and the distant sea. The sounds of the city are a low, gentle lullaby. Lyra rises from the steps, her heart feeling as calm and ordered as the stars beginning to wheel across the heavens. She has a thread of wisdom now, a golden thread, to weave into the tapestry of her life. Let her image fade, let the silver light of Greece dissolve. We are moving again, my gentle traveler. Feel my current, pulling you onward, across vast lands and wide seas. The journey is long, but you are safe, cradled in the flow of time. The air changes once more. It becomes humid, thick with the scent of damp earth, bamboo groves, and the delicate aroma of brewing tea. The light is soft, filtered through a persistent mist that clings to the rolling green hills. We are in ancient China, during the time of the great sages. I am the Yangtze River now, a great, winding dragon of water, my currents broad and powerful, yet my surface can be as smooth as silk. I have seen dynasties rise and fall, and I have heard the whispers of philosophies that would shape a continent. In a small, humble village, nestled by a tributary of my great river, a young man named Lin is preparing for a journey. He is not a warrior or a merchant. He is a scholar, though he feels he has much to learn. His room is sparse and clean. A sleeping mat, a low table, and scrolls of bamboo strips tied with silk cord. On the table sits a brush, an inkstone, and a stick of dried ink. The only decoration is a single, perfect blossom in a clay pot. Lin is troubled. His heart is not at peace. A few days ago, his neighbor, a farmer named Bao, diverted a small irrigation channel to water his own parched fields, taking more than his fair share and leaving Lin's own small vegetable garden to wither. Lin's first impulse was rage. He had confronted Bao, and harsh words were exchanged. Now a wall of bitter silence stands between their homes, and the disharmony gnaws at Lin. He feels he has lost his way. He has heard of a great teacher, a master named Kong, whom people would one day call Confucius. They say the master is traveling in a nearby province, and that his wisdom is like a clear, deep well. Lin has decided to seek him out. He believes this wise man can give him a rule, a judgment, a way to prove he is right and Bao is wrong. He wants justice. After days of walking, his simple sandals caked with mud, Lin finds the master. He is not in a grand temple, but sitting with a small group of students under a sprawling banyan tree. Master Kong is not a physically imposing man, but his presence is one of profound calm and deep-set integrity. His eyes seem to see not just the young man standing before him, but the turmoil in his heart. Lin bows low, and with a trembling voice he tells his story. He speaks of the diverted water, the withered vegetables, the angry words, the wall of silence. He finishes by asking, "Master, what is the principle of justice I can use against my neighbor? What powerful word can I use to defeat him and restore my honor?" The master listens patiently, his expression unchanging. When Lin is finished, the clearing is silent, save for the buzz of a cicada in the high branches of the banyan. Master Kong does not offer a grand pronouncement or a cunning strategy. Instead, he looks at Lin with a gentle, almost compassionate gaze. "You seek a word to use as a weapon," the master says, his voice quiet but resonant. "But the best weapon is one that is never drawn. You seek to defeat your neighbor, but in doing so, you only deepen the conflict and defeat yourself, for you are both part of the same village, the same tapestry." He gestures for Lin to sit. He pours him a small cup of tea from an iron pot. The tea is warm and slightly bitter, but it calms Lin's agitated spirit. "There is a principle," the master continues, "but it is not for defeating others. It is for cultivating the self. It is the principle of ****. He says the word softly. It sounds like the wind whispering through bamboo. Reciprocity, or perhaps empathy, is the closer meaning. The master picks up a fallen twig and draws a simple character in the dust. The character for ****, he explains, is made of two parts. The top part means as if, and the bottom part is the character for heart. To practice ****, is to have a heart that sees the world as if you were the other person. Lin looks at the character in the dust, his mind beginning to shift. He had been so focused on his withered vegetables, his own anger. "Let me offer you a single thread that you can follow throughout your life," the master says. "It is this: what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others." The words are so simple, yet they land in Lin's heart with the force of a great revelation. He had not wished for his garden to be deprived of water. He had not wished to be spoken to with anger. He had not wished for this wall of silence. And yet, in his own rage, had he not wished to deprive Bao of his pride? Had he not spoken angry words himself? Had he not helped build that very same wall? He sees his neighbor Bao in his mind's eye, not as an enemy, but as a man with his own worries. He remembers that Bao's youngest child has been sick. Perhaps the extra harvest was not for greed, but for medicine. He had never stopped to consider Bao's heart. He had only considered his own. "Think on this, young Lin," the master says, his voice gentle. "Your neighbor's actions were born of his own needs. Your reaction was born of your own feelings. The path to harmony is not in proving who is right, but in both of you understanding the heart of the other. Go home. Do not speak of justice. Speak of water, and of children, and of the weather. Find the common ground where your hearts can meet. Do for him what you would wish he would do for you. Offer understanding." The journey home is different for Lin. He is no longer fueled by anger, but by a quiet sense of purpose. He sees the world differently. He notices the way the willow branches bend without breaking, the way the river yields to the shape of the land yet continues on its course. When he arrives, he does not go to his own house. He goes to Bao's. He doesn't carry a weapon or a list of grievances. He carries a small basket of herbs from the woods that are known to help with fever. He finds his neighbor mending a tool, his shoulders slumped with worry. Lin does not mention the water. He simply holds out the basket. "I heard your son is unwell," he says softly. "I hope this might bring him some comfort." Bao looks up, his face a mixture of shock and shame. He sees no anger in Lin's eyes, only a quiet offering of peace. In that moment, the wall of silence between them crumbles into dust. And Lin understands. The golden rule is not about getting what you want. It is about becoming the person you wish others would be. It is the source of harmony, a quiet, powerful magic that can make a withered garden bloom again. And now, my sleepy friend, let us drift again. Let the misty hills of China dissolve into a soft, formless gray. We are leaving the ancient world behind, but not our golden thread. Our river is changing now. It is no longer a single geographic body of water, but a metaphorical river, the great river of faith and spirit that flows through all human cultures. Its tributaries reach into every land, every village, every heart. We are going to listen, as this one simple rule is spoken in different ways, in different tongues, a chorus of unity from across the world. Feel the current slow, becoming deep and quiet. The air grows still, filled with the scent of old parchment and beeswax candles. We are in a small, stone study house, somewhere in the ancient land of Judea. The light is warm and golden, cast by a flickering oil lamp. An old rabbi, his beard long and white, is sitting with a young, impatient student. "Rabbi," the student says, his voice full of frustration, "the law is so vast, so complex. There are 613 commandments. How can any man hope to master them all? Can you not teach me the whole of the Torah while I stand on one foot?" The old rabbi, Hillel the elder, smiles. It is a gentle, knowing smile. He does not scold the young man for his impatience. Instead, he rises slowly from his stool. He stands, with some effort, on one foot, his body frail but his spirit strong. He looks the student in the eye, and his voice is as soft as the candle flame, yet it fills the small room. "That which is hateful to you," he says, "do not do to your fellow. That is the whole Torah. The rest is the explanation. Now go and learn." The student stands in stunned silence. In one simple, negative command, the old rabbi has handed him the key. The entire sprawling edifice of the law is built upon this one, simple foundation of empathy. Do not cause the pain you would not want to feel. Do not inflict the shame you would not want to bear. Do not create the injustice you would not want to suffer. It is all there. The room feels holy, filled with a quiet, profound truth. Our river flows on, gently, quietly. The scent of old parchment gives way to the smell of dust and dry grass, the feeling of a warm sun on your skin. We are on a hillside in Galilee. A crowd has gathered, but we are not in the midst of it. We are sitting at a distance, under the shade of a fig tree, listening. A man is speaking. His voice carries on the breeze, clear and calm. He is not speaking of armies or empires, but of the inner kingdom of the heart. We see a woman on the edge of the crowd. She is a weaver, like Lyra from our story in Greece, her hands calloused but nimble. She listens intently as the teacher speaks of loving one's neighbor, of caring for the poor, of turning the other cheek. And then he says something that seems to gather all his other teachings into a single, shining point of light. So in everything, he says, his voice filled with a gentle authority, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. The weaver closes her eyes for a moment. It is so simple. Not just a restraint from harm, but a positive, active command to do good. She thinks of the kindness she craves when she is weary, the compassion she longs for when she is sad, the forgiveness she needs when she has made a mistake. This is what she must give to others. It is a call to action, a lifetime's work in a single sentence. The golden rule, polished and shining, now a proactive instruction for a life of grace. A cool breeze rustles the leaves of the fig tree, and she feels a sense of profound peace settle over her. The riverbank shifts again. The green hills dissolve into endless dunes of sand, sculpted by the wind. The sun has set, and the sky is a vast canopy of brilliant diamond-like stars, more than you could ever count. The air is cool and clean. We are at an oasis, a cluster of date palms around a deep, life-giving well. A caravan has stopped to rest for the night. A small fire crackles, casting a warm, dancing light on the faces of the travelers gathered around it. The camels are resting nearby, their soft grunts a gentle counterpoint to the crackling flames. An old man, the leader of the caravan, is speaking. His face is weathered by sun and wind, but his eyes are clear and bright. He is sharing stories and teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. A young man, on his first long journey across the desert, listens with rapt attention. The Prophet someone taught us, the old man says, his voice a low, comforting rumble, that our faith is not complete, our belief is not whole, until we want for our brothers and sisters what we want for ourselves. He pauses, letting the silence of the great desert amplify his words. Think of it, my son. The cool water you crave after a day's thirst, the shade of the palm tree you seek at noon, the safety of the caravan in the deep night, the comfort, the security, the joy you wish for yourself. Your heart is not truly with God until it wishes for those same things for everyone. For the man who walks beside you, for the stranger you meet on the road, even for the one with whom you disagree. We are all travelers in this world. We must be a source of comfort and shade for one another. The young man looks around the fire at the faces of his fellow travelers, illuminated by the gentle glow. He sees not strangers, but brothers. He understands that faith is not just a private prayer, but a public act of wishing well for all. The golden rule, now a measure of one's very connection to the divine. The starlight seems to shimmer, and the desert sands soften into the green of a mountain meadow. The air becomes thin, crisp, and cold. You can smell the scent of pine and rhododendron, and the clean, pure smell of snow from the high peaks that tower above us, their jagged outlines stark against the deep blue sky. We are in the Himalayas. The only sound is the wind, a low, mournful whistle, and the gentle, rhythmic chanting coming from a stone monastery that clings to the mountainside. Inside, in a room scented with butter lamps and juniper incense, a young monk in saffron robes is sitting before his master. The master is ancient, his face a web of peaceful wrinkles, his eyes holding a deep, compassionate stillness. The young monk has been struggling with feelings of anger toward another novice who he feels has slighted him. The master does not offer complex philosophical arguments. He simply strikes a small bronze singing bowl. A pure, resonant tone fills the room, vibrating in the very air, in the wooden beams, in the bones of the two men sitting there. It hangs in the air for a long time before slowly, gently fading into silence. The world is like this bowl, the master says, his voice as soft as falling snow. Every action, every word, every thought is a vibration we send out. An angry thought is a harsh, jarring strike. A compassionate thought is a pure, clear tone. The vibrations you send out will inevitably return to you. He looks at the young monk. The path to enlightenment is paved with compassion, and compassion begins with a simple understanding. Recognize your own desire to be free from suffering. You do not wish to be hurt by a harsh word. You do not wish to be pained by a cruel action. You do not wish to suffer. This feeling is universal. It is the same in all beings, from the smallest insect to the greatest king. Therefore, the master concludes, his voice a mere whisper, Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. See yourself in them, and them in you. When you truly understand this, anger becomes impossible. There is only compassion, a vast, boundless ocean of it. The young monk bows his head, the clear tone of the singing bowl still echoing in his soul. He understands. The Golden Rule is not just an ethical guideline. It is a law of karma, a fundamental principle of existence. It is the path to liberation from suffering, for oneself and for all beings. Our river flows one last time, my dear drifting friend. The snow-capped mountains dissolve, and we find ourselves on the banks of a wide, slow-moving river at dawn. The air is warm and humid, fragrant with the scent of marigolds and sandalwood incense. This is the sacred Ganges. The sky is turning from pale gray to soft pink and orange. People are gathering on the stone steps, the ghats, that lead down into my waters, their movements slow and reverent as they come to greet the morning sun. We see a grandfather and his young granddaughter, sitting together on the top step, watching the day begin. The granddaughter is young, her mind full of questions. She asks her grandfather about Dharma, that great complex word. She asks how she can know if she is doing the right thing. The grandfather does not give her a complicated answer. He points to the rising sun, which is now a brilliant orange orb on the horizon, its light turning the surface of the river into a sheet of molten gold. Dharma is about living in harmony with the world, my child, he says, his voice gentle. It is about fulfilling your duty with a pure heart. And if you ever feel lost, if you ever wonder what the right path is, just remember this one simple truth from our great epic, the Mahabharata. He puts his hand on her shoulder. This is the sum of all true righteousness. Treat others as you would be treated. Do nothing to your neighbor that you would not have him do to you hereafter. That is the heart of Dharma. The little girl looks at the river, at the people bathing in its sacred waters, at the golden sun rising in the sky. It feels so simple, so right. To be good is to be kind. To be kind is to imagine the heart of another. She takes her grandfather's hand, and together they watch the world awaken, her own heart filled with the warm, golden light of this simple, profound truth. And now, our journey is coming to an end. The river of time flows on, but we will let its current gently deposit us on the soft, quiet shores of sleep. The golden thread we have followed, from the scribe in Egypt to the child on the banks of the Ganges, runs through all of us. It is a quiet, universal melody that the human heart has been singing to itself since the dawn of time. Do not do what you would not want done to you. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Wish for others what you wish for yourself. It is a rule of restraint, a rule of action, a measure of faith, a law of the cosmos, the heart of duty. It is the simple, elegant key to peace. Peace with your neighbor, peace with the stranger, and most importantly, peace within your own heart. As you drift now, deeper and deeper into restful sleep, feel that golden thread woven into the very fabric of your being. It is your connection to every person you have ever met and every person who has ever lived. It is a thread of shared humanity, of shared vulnerability, of a shared desire for kindness and understanding. Let this thought be a soft blanket covering you in warmth and security. Let it be a gentle current carrying you into a sea of deep and peaceful dreams. You are not alone. You are part of a great, beautiful tapestry woven together with a single shining golden thread. The river is quiet now. Its surface is a perfect mirror for the silent, sleeping stars. The world is breathing softly around you. Breathe with it, in and out, a slow, gentle rhythm. The rhythm of the tides, the rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of a peacefully beating heart. Rest now, sleep now. Let the gentle waters of slumber wash over you, cleansing you of all worry, all tension, all thought. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to solve. Just rest, just be, drifting, floating, sleeping, deep, peaceful, restful sleep.